At sunrise in Shanghai, banners rippled and horns sounded as China's newest warship slid into a different kind of spotlight. The carrier Fujian, hull number 18, was officially commissioned. It looked ceremonial. It was anything but, because this moment isn't about one ship. It's about how far China has come and how far it still has to go on the road to matching U.S. sea power. On the surface, it's a simple story. Another carrier enters service. But step back. 2 decades ago, the Chinese Navy had 0 carriers. None. Today, it has 3, and this one breaks every pattern before it. Flat deck. Electromagnetic catapults. No ski jump. The difference is like swapping a slingshot for a railgun. Fujian can launch heavier jets faster with more fuel and ordnance. It's the first carrier outside the United States to field EMALS. That's not imitation, that's evolution. Commissioning doesn't mean instant readiness. It means the marathon begins. Over the next 18 months, the crew will live on deck cycles, launch, recover, refuel, repair, again and again, until the choreography becomes instinct. China has proven it can build ships fast. The question is, can it build culture just as fast? Because a carrier group is a living organism. The hardware matters, but the rhythm, the trust between pilots, deck crews, and escorts is what turns steel into strategy. Let's look at what gives Fujian its punch. 3 catapults powered by electromagnetic coils instead of steam. 2 elevators to move aircraft between hangar and deck. A displacement around 80,000 tons. Heavier than the older Shandong, but still lighter than an American supercarrier. It's conventionally powered, so endurance will depend on a constant flow of fuel and logistics. But that's where doctrine adapts. China's Type 901 fast oilers were built specifically to feed this beast at sea. Now picture what climbs off that deck. The stealthy twin-engine J-35 fighter, the catapult-capable J-15T, and the KJ-600 early warning aircraft. For the first time, China can combine low observable strike aircraft with fixed-wing command and control planes. It's no longer tied to helicopters for radar coverage. That expands vision from a few dozen miles to hundreds. Every extra mile of radar horizon means more reaction time, more options, more control. Compare that to the United States. The Ford-class carriers have been running EMALS for years, launching FA-18 and F-35Cs with proven sortie rates. They're nuclear-powered, which gives virtually unlimited range. But nuclear power brings complexity and cost. China chose the simpler route, conventional propulsion, because it could field capability now, not a decade later. In strategy, timing is sometimes more important than perfection. What does this mean in practice? Start with presence. Fujian allows Beijing to sustain air operations farther from home, into the Philippine Sea, the Indian Ocean, and eventually the Pacific proper. It's a signal. The People's Liberation Army Navy is no longer a coastal defense force. It's a blue water navy testing the limits of endurance, logistics, and command. Step into the near future. Picture the carrier leaving port with a full escort. 2 Type 055 destroyers bristling with vertical launch cells, a pair of 052D destroyers for layered defense, a 054A frigate, and a submarine shadowing below. Overhead, a KJ-600 circles at 20,000 feet, feeding radar data into the combat system. This is the fleet architecture that lets China project influence beyond the first island chain. But every advantage carries its own risk. Conventional propulsion means predictable refueling windows. Refueling windows mean vulnerability. In a conflict, U.S. and allied submarines would hunt the replenishment ships first. No fuel, no flight ops. That's why survivability isn't just about armor. It's about logistics chains and deception tactics. Expect China to experiment with decoys, electronic masking, and distributed escort patterns to keep the carrier alive in a missile-saturated environment. Here's the deeper layer. Carriers aren't just platforms, they're political language. Fujian speaks to multiple audiences. Domestically, it feeds national pride and military confidence. Regionally, it signals deterrence and dominance. Internationally, it says, "We can do what you can do." Each catapult launch is both a test flight and a message. How will the region react? The United States will watch every deployment, calibrating carrier group patrols across the Philippine Sea. Japan will accelerate its own carrier conversion program. equipping Izumo-class ships with F-35Bs. Australia will focus on submarine warfare under the AUKUS partnership. India will push its next indigenous carrier to maintain parity in the Indian Ocean. Fujian doesn't operate in a vacuum. It pulls the entire region's naval budgets upward. Now imagine a crisis in the Taiwan Strait. In peacetime, Fujian can operate as a visible deterrent. In gray zone conflict, where harassment, blockades, or air incursions replace open battle, the carrier's fixed-wing radar coverage gives China a near-continuous picture of the battle space. Its stealth fighters could intercept surveillance aircraft long before they reach the coast. The challenge for Beijing is coordination. A carrier battle group adds range but also complexity. Keeping dozens of ships, aircraft, and shore-based assets synchronized is like conducting a symphony in a storm. For Washington, this development shifts planning. The U.S. Navy can no longer assume overwhelming carrier dominance west of Guam. That doesn't mean parity. It means the margin for error gets smaller. Allied strategy will rely more on distributed lethality, smaller surface groups, submarines, long-range missiles, and drones working together to keep any adversary carrier in check. Let's address the headline claim. Is Fujian a game changer? Not yet. It's a game expander. It widens China's playbook, offering tools and experience that will make the next carrier truly global. The difference between potential and performance will be measured in flight deck rhythm. How many launches per day? How many safe recoveries at night? How smoothly the crew handles the unexpected? Think of what's coming next. Satellite imagery already hints at modules for a possible nuclear-powered successor, sometimes referred to as Type 004. If that's real, China could field a continuous rotation. One carrier deployed, one training, one refitting, one building. That's how the United States maintains presence worldwide. The gap is still large, but the trajectory is clear. Step back and picture the bigger board. Each new carrier changes how allies allocate assets, how shipping routes are ensured, even how smaller nations hedge their diplomacy. Carriers aren't just weapons, they're moving pieces of foreign policy. Wherever Fujian sails, economic gravity and military signaling follow in its wake. Before we close, remember the limits of symbolism. Commissioning day makes headlines. Sustained operations make history. Watch the data that doesn't fit the press release. Sortie rates, downtime between launches, and whether the ship maintains full tempo at sea for weeks, not days. That's when capability becomes power. So here's the bottom line. The Fujian's debut marks the moment China stopped learning only from others and started teaching itself. The ship is real, the technology is proven, the experience is still in progress. And while today's ceremony may look like a finish line, it's actually the starting gun for a new phase of competition. One fought not just with missiles and machines, but with discipline, endurance, and the quiet mastery of the sea. This is Steel Horizon Watch, tracking power beyond the horizon. If you value clear analysis over noise, subscribe now and join me next time as we break down how unmanned fleets are rewriting the rules of naval warfare. The ocean never sleeps, and neither should your understanding of it.